from this lady.
Okay, my question is for Yusuf. If I heard correctly, you said that Jesus never claimed to be God himself. So I just wanted to know what your take was on John chapter 8, where Jesus is questioned about who he is. Verse 58, he says, "I tell you the truth," Jesus answered, "before Abraham was born, I am." And verse 59 says, "At this they picked up stones to stone him." And I understand that their response means that they felt that he was being blasphemous and therefore calling himself God and saying, "I am." So I just wanted to know.
Thank you for that question. Yusuf, if you can answer, and then John can respond.
Yeah, thanks for that. You know, it's a pity, Bishop, that most of these questions sometimes take lectures to deliver, but I'll be as short as possible. The lady raised an interesting question about this passage in John 8:58, where Jesus says, "Behold, before Abraham was, I am." Now again, if you look at this particular claim that is made by Jesus, it's not equivalent to a claim made by Jesus where he's claiming divinity or where he's saying, "Worship me." For example, what are we to then say about Solomon, or in the book of Proverbs in chapter 8 verse 22, or Melchizedek in the book of Hebrews chapter 7 verse 3, "Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life"? In the particular context where Jesus says, "Before Abraham was, I am," the word in Greek is echo eimi. Now, in many modern day translations, including the translation by Edgar Goodspeed and J.M. Powell Smith, the normal translation or the rendering of this particular passage is, Jesus said to them, "I tell you, I existed before Abraham was born. Truly, truly, I tell you, I have existed before Abraham." Now the point is, we can well argue that each and every single one of us existed before Abraham. How? How did we exist? We all existed in the mind and the power and the knowledge of God. If you look at Jeremiah's passage, God tells Jeremiah, "Behold, I knew you, and I made thee a prophet, and I ordained thee unto all the nations, and I knew you before I formed you. I knew you." So in other words, Jeremiah was known and existed in the knowledge and in the mind of God. In the same manner, when Jesus says, "Before Abraham was, I am," he's referring to the fact that in the knowledge of God, he existed. In the knowledge of God, we existed. It's interesting to note also that when most biblical scholars and translators translate the word echo eimi, in John chapter 9 verse 17, or John chapter 9 verse 9, some said this is he, the beggar. Others said he is like him, but he said, "I am he." And here you find a passage where the beggar uses the word echo eimi, which is the same Greek word which is used by Jesus in John 8:58. And in John chapter 9 verse 17, the response is said, "And he is a prophet." Regarding the allegation about people stoning Jesus, they stoned him because they accused him of blasphemy on two counts. One, on claiming to be the Messiah. He was entitled to claim to be the Messiah because he was the Messiah. And when they made the allegation that he was God, he rebuts them and says, "Is it not written in your law, I said ye are gods," from the 82nd chapter of the book of Psalm. In other words, if prophets of God were called gods in the Old Testament, then why are you having a problem with me when the only claim I'm making to is claiming to be the Son of God? God has got sons by the tons, as one particular scholar once said. So this idea or these expressions of Jesus are nothing unique. What I was simply asking, show me a passage where Jesus says he is God, show me a passage where he said, "Worship me," and in the four Gospels, in the red letter Bible of Jesus, you will not find it.
All right, thank you.